Hey guys, just want to talk a little bit about crime in Japan. I keep getting messages on my videos, for example on the vending machine videos, I get the occasional message about, geez, that would be easy to steal from, or why doesn't anybody steal them, or the drink machine videos, why don't the kids buy beer, and what stops them buying beer, and what stops them buying tobacco from the vending machines. And I made one recently about bicycles, and oh, that'd be too easy to steal, and that locks the front wheel, but you could steal the rest of the bike. And there seems to be almost always comments, the occasional comment, not everybody of course, but just the occasional comment on lots of the videos about, that illustrate that sort of thinking. Hey, look, there's something that we could steal. I just wanted to explain that in Japan, people don't think like that. There's a number of reasons for this. I mean, the Bushido code, which is the way of the warrior code, which is an old way of thinking in Japan, the old code of thinking, is about people taking responsibility for their own decisions and doing the right thing just because they want to, and doing the right thing just because it's the right thing to do, and more importantly, doing the wrong thing. And the way they see it is, if they do the wrong thing, they'll feel bad, so they don't usually think about doing the wrong thing. And then if the occasional person does, which they do, I mean, Japan has one of the lowest crime rates in the world, but of course occasionally there is theft, occasionally there is a murder, or some sort of criminal activity, and of course they have organised crime, which is white collar crime, which is extorting money from shop owners and things like that. But I mean, that's usually just in the big cities. So I mean, the town I live in, 50,000 people, and there's never any crime. And through most of Japan, there's never any crime. And first of all, they don't think of it. They just don't think like that. Hey, look, there's something I can steal. They don't think like that. So the second thing is that if the occasional person does do something wrong, if a kid steals something, first of all, they'll be punished by the law. Secondly, they'll be punished by their parents because they've brought disgrace to their family. And then they won't be allowed to go to good schools, they won't be allowed to go to good universities. If adults break the law, they go to jail, and Japanese jail is one of the most strict and harsh jails in the world. If a foreigner breaks the law in Japan, they'll go to jail, and then they'll be deported. So, the main reason that they don't break the law is because they just don't think of it. But of course, if they do, they'll be punished. So there's that as well. But it's mostly the way of thinking. They just don't think about it. The country I used to live in, if people could, extort, or not extort, but if people could get some money out of some big company by telling a lie, they'd do it. If people could get something for free by taking it, taking something home from work, let's take home some pens from work, or some paper from work, or a stapler from work, or they'd do it, and they'd tell their friends. They weren't ashamed of it. But here, they'd never do it. They just wouldn't even think of it. And I'm going to give you some examples in a moment. I'll show you some examples of the faith and trust in Japan. You don't have to be cautious about where you leave your valuables. You don't have to worry. People will go into the convenience store, leave the engine running in their car, and spend 20 minutes in there shopping, because maybe it's because it's cold outside and they want to keep the car warm, or maybe it's because it's hot outside, they want to keep it cool, but they don't even think about it. They just get out of the car, go into the shop, leave the engine running. You can leave your wallet on a bar and go off to the bathroom. When you come back, your wallet will still be there. You can leave valuables pretty well anywhere you want. I'll show you some video of this in a minute, and no one takes anything. So it's just a different way of thinking. And every time I get one of these comments about that'd be too easy to steal, or the occasional comments on the videos like that, it reminds me of why I want to be here, because this country, they don't think like that. In my old country, you do things for people and they'd never pay you. That happened to me a lot, and it doesn't happen here. These guys take responsibility for themselves, and if they owe you money, they give it to you. And if it's a different way of thinking. Anyway, have a look at these videos, you'll see what I mean. So here's a pottery company, got all their pots piled up outside. They all sit here 24 hours a day right beside the main road. No one even thinks of stealing them. Here's a drugstore. all the stock outside the shop. Nobody around. Anyone wants something, they pick it up, take it inside and pay for it. They wouldn't even think of stealing it. This place actually sells alcohol, and once again, nobody in sight. Here's the alcohol outside, quite expensive alcohol. No one would even think of taking it. And this is outside a train station. Here's all the bicycles sitting outside the train station. I did have a bit of a look around here to see if I could see locks on any of the bikes. I'm sure there probably was one or two, but I didn't see any. So, you know, they leave their bikes here in the morning, they're still there when they get back in the afternoon. So, you know, next time you see a video on YouTube about how to hack a Coke machine, which is basically, you know, how to steal or how to cheat on a test, you know, it's worth thinking about the fact that, you know, there's cultures where that sort of thing isn't even thought of. And that's one of the main reasons I live in Japan, because this is a culture where people don't think about taking from anybody else or damaging other people's stuff.